Hi, I'm so glad you're here. My name is Judith, and you are watching this video because you're on my website, His Unmeasured Grace, or you're on YouTube or wherever you found this. All right, so I'm talking today about 5 ways to cultivate grace in your marriage. Marriage is something that is really being attacked today, and we aren't encouraged to stay with our marriage or to work things out. Make a disclaimer, there are some marriages where it's not even safe for you to stay, and I'm not talking about that. You need to get help, and with that, from your pastor or a counselor or something like that. So I'm talking about within the normal ranges of marriage where we can do something, even if it's really bad and we're on the rocks and our relationship is just not there. I was there, and I'm here to tell you that I am married for 45 years, going on 46 years. It is so possible when you work at these things that I'm going to be talking about today. And just for the record, I am still working on my marriage. So would you like a stronger relationship in your marriage? These tips will cultivate grace in your marriage, which is what I talk about a lot, is cultivating grace, living the grace life so that you have a stronger relationship in your marriage. And so, are you ready to learn how? You might be arguing a lot. You may have difficulties in just not communicating very well, or you may just go quiet off by yourself because you don't have that communication you want with each other. You might be on your phones so much that you're neglecting the actual conversation you can have with each other. You need to put your phones down and relate with each other and start working on. I don't know if you have a similar problem in your marriage to what I have, where our communication just wasn't always there. Back in the day, we didn't have cell phones and we didn't have some of those things, but there's always something that gets in the way of your marriage working. One thing can be children. As they come in, it's your family, you get busy, and the communication is just not there. You're not spending time with each other. You might be resenting your husband for what he's not doing to help you, whatever you get in your head. But the thing is, our marriage is just as important, if not more, than our children, because after your children grow up, you still have your spouse. And if you haven't worked on that relationship through the years, it's kind of a lonely relationship. So you want to have a healthy family unit as they're growing up, if that's possible, and also afterward. And so that once you're an empty nester, you want a thriving marriage. You don't want to have that distance from each other. And it's dull, it's fractured, and you just want it to be a special relationship. So why cultivating grace is important in marriage and how it can strengthen your relationship is what we're going to talk about right now. So as someone who has been married for many years, like over 4 decades, I've learned the importance of grace in my marriage the hard way. And marriage is beautiful, and yet it's a challenging journey that requires patience and forgiveness on the daily. And so if you think it's difficult or impossible, I'm just here to tell you that it might take time. If you decide to work on your marriage and figure out some ways to do that, it may not happen overnight because your husband or you might be blinded to the things the other is doing to try to improve it because you're used to that pattern and you fall back into that too easily. Hebrews 4:16 says, "Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need." So prayer is the big thing that you can do to find grace and to work on your marriage. And so there are ways to cultivate grace in your marriage. First of all, choose forgiveness. Forgive your husband. Forgive yourself for the things that you've done wrong. It's a crucial aspect in your marriage. If you can't forgive each other for the wrongs you do to each other, there's no hope. Matthew 6:14 says, "For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither will your heavenly Father forgive your trespass." It's not about sweeping issues under the rug. It's about dealing with them, sitting down with each other and talking about them and working them out. Communicate with empathy. Care about the other person. Listen and respond. Repeat what they say to you so that you show them that you're listening, and be understanding and do it with kindness. Too often, we just get in a pattern of these snarky ways we respond to each other. And as wives, we want to be an emotional support to our husbands and not think they don't need that. Listening with empathy is crucial, something I still need to work on because we fall back into our old patterns too easily. So it's easier to share these things with you, but I continually have to work on them and to cultivate grace toward my husband in these ways, and then we always have to be working on our marriage. My dad was in his 90s when he told me he still had to work on his marriage. So offer forgiveness, letting go of past hurts, and moving forward. And it doesn't matter how long or how short a time you've been married, you might have to work on some of these things. And I mean, you have the time when before you were married that you started to develop patterns. And forgiveness can be one of the most difficult things to offer the other person because we want to give excuses for why we responded the way we did instead of just asking forgiveness and leaving it at that. So letting go of past hurts and choosing to move forward together can be incredibly powerful in your relationship. And it takes courage, vulnerability, and forgiveness, and all these things. So Matthew 6:14 says, "For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you." And you want to show appreciation, the power of small gestures and words of gratitude in building a loving marriage. Marriage is a journey full of ups and downs, but one thing that can help strengthen your marriage bond between each other is when you have the power of expressing gratitude to each other. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture or an extravagant gift. It's just a small act of kindness, a simple thank you for something that he did for you. The things that sometimes we take for granted, even thanking him when he did something, a job for us, thank him for it. Don't think that he just should have done it. And saying that I appreciate you, leaving a sweet note is so important. 1 Corinthians 6:14 says, "Let all that you do be done with love." Embrace imperfections, a hard one. Understanding that no one is perfect and embracing each other's flaws with love and grace. So important. The truth is, nobody's perfect, and we all have quirks, flaws, and imperfection, and that's okay. Summing it all up, the importance of cultivating grace in marriage for a lasting and fulfilling relationship is so important. And when it comes to marriage, cultivating grace is an essential ingredient for building a lasting and fulfilling relationship. You want it to be lasting and fulfilling. A breakup in a marriage hurts your children, hurts you, leaves scars, sticking it out, good and bad, for the good and the worse, for better and for worse. You have memories, even the bad memories, that you have together over the years. So if you want your marriage to last, cultivate grace in your relationship every single day. It's a small gesture that can make a difference in the long run.